Hi, this is Simon Canlish and welcome to another marvelous video. As 2022 is about to end, it is time to look back and discover some of the best blood-curdling horror movies it offers. The horror continues to be one of the best genres among binge watchers and spook enthusiasts. The spirit of Halloween has gotten people wanting to get on a horror movie spree that sends chills down their spine. What the fright factor of 2022 has to offer is both exciting and thrilling. Among these, we have dug up the best of the breathtaking and nail-biting horror movies that are hidden gems. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, then please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you, and let's begin. Hatching. In the movie Hatching, we see Tinya, who is a young gymnast girl with a stern mother who is not afraid to push boundaries as she pleases. The mother wants to portray a picture-perfect family online, but in reality, her treatment towards Tinya is quite harsh and displays signs of entitlement. One day, when a crow accidentally flies into their living room while dismantling a few things, Tinya's mother injures the bird by snapping its neck. Though alive, Tinya disposes of the body of the bird unknowingly. Later on, Tinya discovered an egg that she decided to take care of. However, a gigantic creature that was shaped like a baby bird hatches out of the egg, leaving Tinya awestruck. Despite its monstrous appearance, Tinya secretly takes care of the creature and names him Ali. Hatching takes us through the journey of secretive bonds, chaos, and controlling toxicity in a family, and how modern-day social media is altering lives and relationships. More into the movie. The horrifying truth about Ali comes out. What happens when Tinya's mother finds out that she's hiding a monster pet, or what does Ali grow into? Well, you're not going to be expecting the end. This psychological horror, directed by Hannah Bergholm, represents the twisted emotions of modern-day families and the uncanny resemblance between Tinya and her secret pet monster, Ali. Played by the actress Siri Solalina, Tinya's emotions get suppressed as her mother tends to take control of her choices, likes and dislikes for the sake of social media. Tinya's inner consciousness are expressed through Ali's actions. Hatching perfectly displays modern society's bland interest in showcasing an ideal lifestyle through social platforms and the horrifying consequences that can wreck the bond between close ones. In the movie, the psychotic resemblance between Tinya and Ali got Tinya to learn to control her emotions and suppress her feelings in the real world while shaping herself into an adult. The creepy scenes throughout the movie are truly dark and gore, and the terrifying attacks by Ali add to the suspense elements of the movie Hatching.
Sarah, run!
Piggy. The movie Piggy is about a girl named Sarah who suffers from a body dysphoria and is regularly bullied for her body appearance. Her bullies, such as Claudia or Maka, are ruthless. One of them even intentionally posted a photo of Sarah with her parents, demeaning them by captioning it "Three Little Piggies." As Sarah's parents do not understand her bodily insecurities, the mental disturbance takes a toll on her. The torment continues in many forms, like name-calling, slurs, physically pushing her into a swimming pool, and fleeing with her personal belongings. As Sarah walks down the road in a torn swimsuit, she notices Claudia's blood-dripping head hanging from the back of a van, asking for help. Sarah is quick to recognize the driver and kidnapper, as she remembers seeing him at the swimming pool earlier. Sarah is not someone who received kindness on a regular basis, and when the van driver threw a towel for her to cover up, she acknowledges the goodwill. What do you think Sarah chooses as she faces moral ambiguousness? Will she reveal the identity of the kidnapper to the police, or seek vengeance against her bullies? The movie Piggy takes us through an adventurous mix of horror and thriller. The movie portrays the story of a young girl named Sarah, played by Laura Gallen, who is often bullied for her body. Being referred to as Piggy and Miss Bacon by her bullies, Sarah's self-esteem lowers day by day. This results in her sympathizing with the murderer as she too seeks vengeance in some ways. Carlotta Parida also displays the similarity between young escaped bull on the loose and Sarah. Her final search for the murderer also paints a picture of a suppressed self-conscious individual confronting her in recklessness. Sarah finds peace and kindness in the gruesome killer, while the so-called modest society has only caused her pain and oppressed her. The feminist horror precisely presents the gore and blood-chilling carnage that every horror lover seeks. Beast. In the movie Beast, we see a character named Dr. Nate, whose wife passed away from terminal cancer, leaving him widowed and their daughters, Meredith and Nora, feeling distant. To reconnect with the daughters at the toughest time, Nate decides to take a vacation at Mopani Reverse in South Africa, along with an infamous biologist and Mopani manager, Martin Battles. As they go ahead with their trip in the restricted zones, they notice a lot of dead people. Suspicion raises towards a blood-hunting man-killer lion. As they try to track it, Martin gets injured while Meredith takes the car wheel, resulting in a car crash while leaving everyone stranded in the risky land. They soon discover that the poachers of the village have been tampering with the lion and his pride. Find out how they would survive in a trapped land where a rogue lion is after their lives. The exciting and gripping storyline is a must-watch to know how far Nate goes to protect his daughter's lives. Beast presents outstanding CGI work that stood out as it added to the thrill a bit. From the wounds portrayed to the rogue attacks, it was all realistic and displayed natural brutality. The director of the movie is Baltazar, who works best with survival thrillers, taking the audience through one of the most frightful experiences. This movie also shows the bond between father and daughter's melancholic establishment of the relationship due to the sudden absence of their mother. The movie Beast surely takes us through an emotional adventure of a roller coaster that makes it one of the best rated R watches. Firestarter. The sci-fi horror Firestarter is about a young girl named Charlie with her pyrokinetic power. It simply refers to the ability to take control over fire, and hence the title Firestarter. The opening scene begins with a flashback where we see young Andy along with his girlfriend, whom he refers to as Vicky, present during a clinical trial for an experimental chemical drug. The name of the drug is Lot 6, which is known to be injected into an individual to give them some supernatural powers. Through this, Andy obtains the power of telepathy and Vicky obtains the power of telekinesis. Back to the present time, Charlie expresses her feelings of suppression and her inability to bottle up her powers, resulting from a fire explosion in the bathroom stall of her school. In the meantime, due to Charlie's emotional outburst, a thermal disbalance occurs, which triggers the leader of DSI, Hollister. Upon consultation with the creator of the Lot 6 drug, Dr. Joseph Wanless on this, Charlie's life was at stake. Will Charlie be able to put up a fight and survive? This movie takes you through the vicious fights, killings, explosions, and hey, much more. Zac Efron played the role of Andy, and Ryan Kira Armstrong played the character of Charlie. Their acting during the movie was spectacular, as they were both able to convey emotions so accurately that it really connected to the audience sentiment. Based on Stephen King's novel, this movie is packed with terror and suspense. The original movie was released in 1984, from which a couple of dialogues were taken. Many presented their views that, less than the novel, the movie seemed like an attempt to remake the original. In any case scenario, this horror thriller is a must-watch for the ones in taste for sci-fi action against the bureaucratic structure. No Exit. The movie No Exit is about a young adult trying to save a kidnapped girl by fighting for her life. Darby Thorne is a college student and a recovering addict who escapes from rehab to visit her mother, who is going through emergency surgery. Due to a blizzard, Darby decides to make her stop at a local visitor center. There, she meets a few people such as Ash, Lars, Ed, and Sandy, who are married. While looking for a cell phone signal, Darby's eyes meet a kidnapped girl who is struggling at the back of a van. She discovers that the van belongs to Lars, and he is the one behind the kidnapping. Darby's mission is to rescue the girl and take us through the classic and thrilling abduction scenes, standoffs, and bloodshed terror. Writers of No Exit, Andrew Barra and Gabriel Ferrari, added indecisiveness among the characters to challenge certain stereotypical moves. The madness of action and standoffs are somewhat frightening and grisly. The chaotic discoveries by Darby, played by Havana Rose Liu, include twists and brutality in the scenes. The expression and gestures made by the actress on the character are remarkable. The cinematography is excellent due to its attention to detail, making the thrills and twists extremely realistic. The movie explores its full potential, as it includes the usage of drugs, kidnapping, violence, and forced intimacy, making it another best in rated R. If you are someone who enjoys the temptation of tension and eagerness to discover, this is again one of the best popcorn flicks.
넌 저걸 무덤이라고 하니?
Umma is a movie that is named after the dead mother of a Korean immigrant lady named Amanda. Growing up, Amanda had an abusive childhood. She now lives with her daughter named Chrissy away from modern society and claims to have an allergy to electronics. When Amanda was growing up to be an adult, she decided to distance herself from Korean culture and heritage along with her abusive mother. However, she got criticized by people, including her uncle, for ignoring the Korean culture and not getting her daughter familiar with the Korean legacy. In recent times, Amanda enjoys a rural life away from electronic-centric modern society. However, knowing her daughter will be leaving their farm in order to pursue higher studies puts her mind into stress. But things take a dark turn when Amanda receives her dead mother's ashes in a suitcase that has been transported from Korea. Amanda faces utter despair and hopelessness and experiences sinister things. What do you think happened after her mother's remains arrive? What secret has Amanda been hiding from her daughter? Well, buckle up, because the petrifying answers will send chills down your spine. Sandra Oh plays the character of Amanda in the movie and leaves the audience stunned by her performance. Through the plot twists and sensitive abuse scenes, this film will make the bravest horrified. The frightening tension puts a strain on the hearts of viewers as the dark and artistic screen tint increases the fright factor. The director of the movie, Iris K. Shim, did a splendid job in terms of appropriate ominous sounds, editing, and adding certain elements in the darkness throughout the film. The traumatizing expression made by Sandra and the overall storyline will be keeping you on a tense edge. So if you decide to give this a watch, prepare to be jumped and terrified. Pray for the Devil. The movie Pray for the Devil is about a ghoulish outrage resulting in exorcism within the Catholic Church. Father Quinn, who is the head of the church, notices Sister Anne's ability to sympathize with the ones affected by demonish activities and plans on teaching her exorcism. In usual cases, female members of the Catholic Church, such as nuns, are prohibited from exorcism. As Anne starts her first lesson with the assistance of Father Dante, she comes across a young girl's soul in conflict with a demon. Anne soon finds similarities and starts to believe that this is the same demon her mentally disturbed mother was tortured by. Anne goes on with her learning lessons despite several barriers created by the evil in her way. She gets visions that are traumatizing and scarring, and experiences horrifying harassment and threats during her practice period. Despite her consistency and courage, Sister Anne is confronted by her unsettling past that takes a dark turn that will put you in shock. Jacqueline Byers truly shaped herself to fit into the character of Sister Anne. The movie shows the exorcism scenes, which are horrifying with hints of demonic possessions. The acting and writing around the exorcism scenes worked out really well. The director, Daniel Stamm, has taken every opportunity possible to give the senses terror-stricken aspects. Spine-chilling satanic violence, scenes of dead bodies, abuse, and disturbing contorting of the human body add more horror throughout the movie. It also offers empathy towards the victims, which can be quite heart-wrenching to watch. If you are someone who is into evil and demon possession, this movie is all about it. Jeepers Creepers Reborn. The Jeepers Creepers Reborn is a sequel to the original Jeepers Creepers, released back in 2001. The movie starts with an old couple driving towards Louisiana when they notice a rusty truck in the viewing mirror with a nameplate that says Beat NGU. They come across the same truck after a while, parked outside a house where the driver is seen to be unloading a dead corpse. As they attempt to flee to get help, they go missing forever. After this 10-minute glimpse, another couple named Lane and Chase is seen. They are on their adventure to a horror fest in Louisiana. The couple is driving while watching a documentary about the same old couple who simply went missing and was possibly killed by the Creeper. Creeper is known to be a Louisiana legend who is rumored to appear every year and gets on a killing spree for 23 days. So, what do you think happens when Lane and Chase get to Louisiana's horror fest? Is the blood-hunting Creeper waiting for them? Timo Vorensola's direction in the movie has been brilliantly carried all the way through. Though it's no match to the original, Jeepers Keeper Reborn checks all the elements of horror, suspense, disturbing and deformed-looking Creeper and his intent. Written by Jake Seal and Sean Michael Argo, the script and dialogues are simply well-paced and compelling. The makeup, CGI, and use of props on Creeper's character portray ruthlessness and cold-blooded brutality is scary and distressing. Lane, played by Signe Craven, and Chase, played by Imran Adams, did an impressive job giving their characters more color. If you are someone who is a fan of gore and cruel horrors, then you're in for a treat. The Invitation, directed by Jessica M. Thompson. The movie starts with a ghastly scene of an unnamed desolate woman hanging herself with a piano wires that straight away decapitates her. The scene shifts to a present-day New York where we meet Evelyn Evie Jackson, a struggling freelancer who makes a living running a catering business with her friend Grace. Evie, who was recently orphaned, curiously opts for an DNA test to search for a family tree. Unanticipated, she finds a distant cousin named Oliver Alexander. Upon meeting her, she gets invited to an approaching family wedding in England by Oliver. Although hesitant, she graciously agrees. On her day of arriving in Whitby, she meets the dashing young lord Walter DeVille and the rest of her long-lost family. What may seem like a courteous reconciliation is only the calm before the storm. A series of eerie occurrences start to happen during her stay. Gradually, she gets courted by Walter, who asks for a hand in marriage, and Evie jokingly agrees. Things take an unexpected turn for Evie at the rehearsal dinner scene, where Evie has to grasp the fact that Walter is not human but a supernatural being, a vampire. True love may be unconditional, but marrying a 1,000-year-old bloodlusted vampire, would you draw the line there? Director and co-writer Jessica M. Thompson has added elements of twists and an unsettling frame of mind. This dark fantasy horror thriller is an aggregate if Twilight was actually a horror movie. Nathalie Emmanuel plays the role of a naive young woman, Evie, who keeps on making a series of poor judgments. The Victorian elements in the movie are justifiable, and many gothic horror fans are actually calling it a modern-day retelling of Bram Stoker's Dracula. When all said and done, if you're a fan of the gothic horror genre, well, this movie should not be a miss. Smile, the psychological horror thriller, involves a cat-and-mouse game between an entity that feeds off trauma and its victims. As the movie sets in motion, a psychiatrist with a troubled past, Dr. Rose Cotter, tends to a patient, Laura Weaver, and she ends up committing suicide with an unusual smile on her face in front of Rose. Soon, she gets plagued by eerie hallucinations that make her question the real world. The hallucinations get to a certain point where it starts straining her relationship with other people in her life. Trying to unravel the truth with Joel, her ex, and a police detective, she discovers the existence of a supernatural entity and its chain of curses. The curse is passed on when a person haunting the entity commits suicide in front of someone else. Soon, she discovers that the only way to break the chain of the curse is by killing someone else in a gruesome manner to assuage or please the entity, which feeds off trauma and shock. What lens will Rose go to save herself? Enough to kill another person? Well, if this gets you curious, the movie deserves a watch. The psychological horror marks the directorial debut of Parker Finn. Inspired by his short film Laura Hasn't Slept from 2020, the movie received positive applause from most of its critics, but is yet to engrave itself into the Hall of Fame for the horror genre. The pacing of the movie is well balanced and the soundtrack is assured to spike your fright. Though the climax might be predictable for some, it adds just the right of that thriller spice to the movie. The cat and mouse chase nature of the movie, along with the psychological terror, will keep you constantly gripped. This underrated psychological thriller is also a must watch.
You're just making things worse.
X. During the 70s, an aspiring pornographic production crew sets foot in an elderly couple's distant farmhouse to shoot their next adult film. Maxine, who has a yearning to be a sex symbol, in her own words, arrives at the location with her boyfriend, Wayne, who's in charge of production, and fellow actors Bobby and Jackson, accompanied by director RJ and his girlfriend Lorraine. They are greeted obnoxiously by their host Howard, while her aged wife, Pearl, stalks the rest of the crew from behind a window. As the crew starts shooting their film without the elderly couple's knowledge, Pearl, taking a charm into Maxine's youth, invites her inside the house. Pearl starts stalking the crew and is seemingly aroused by their actual intention. When RJ denies sexual advances made by Pearl, she stabs him to death. What follows is a sting of ghastly murders that will sicken you to the guts. This steamy slasher horror is not afraid to be bold at all. The movie became a commercial hit, with its prequel being announced as well, where we will get to explore Pearl's dark past. On an additional surprising note, actress Mia Goth plays the role of both Maxine and Pearl. The retro approach of the movie is bound to take the viewer on a trip in time, like the cult classics, and director Ty Twist does not fail at this job. There's lust, there's blood, and there's killers on the loose. The movie undoubtedly is among the best slasher horrors of all time. The Requin. A married couple's holiday unwinding in Vietnam turns into the worst nightmare they could even imagine. Jalen, suffering from the loss of her child during a home birth, travels to a private seaside resort in Vietnam with her husband, Kyle, for an intimate getaway. Their vacation turns into a complete disaster when a storm breaks out and hauls their villa apartment, leaving them stranded and alone at midnight. Kyle, who already injured his leg during the midnight mayhem, tries to confront his wife Jalen. The couple spots a plane flying above and tries to signal it with smoke they made out of a plastic bottle. Soon their little plan proves catastrophic as the fire starts to spread and rips their woven villa into shreds. The couple choke and struggles to climb onto a piece of wood which can be barely called a raft, just when they are attacked by a school of great white sharks. Their raft eventually hits a land, but Kyle succumbs to the injury, leaving Jalen all alone, stranded in the middle of nowhere as the great white starts circling around her. How long do you think she can cling on to her life? Well, the movie is our classic Stranded at Sea, but with the added thrill factor of man versus sharks. The thrill factor is well contrived owing to the impressive CGI. The stirring journey of survival and breath-pausing moments gets the tension rising among the viewers. Alicia Silverstone acting maintains the gripping factor of the movie. In fact, it's one of the best performances she's had in recent years. If you're a hardcore fan of man versus marine movies, or anything that sparks the Robinson Crusoe inside of you, this could be worth a watch. Sissy. The plot of Sissy kicks off with Cecilia and Emma, two estranged best friends running into each other after a decade. Once high school sweethearts, a sense of distance lingers around Cecilia towards Emma. Cecilia, who is now a popular internet influencer, promptly accepts Emma's invite to her bachelorette getaway at a remote cabin. The group of friends joined by Cecilia is set out on their journey where they witness roadkill. A dismayed Cecilia also realizes the cabin that they are heading towards belongs to no one but Alex, her high school bully. It becomes apparent that Alex was the one to drive a wedge between Cecilia and Emma. Alex is outraged by Cecilia's presence. The hesitant group of friends isolates themselves from Cecilia in the woods, where she finds them bad-mouthing her. Cecilia then confronts Alex and hits her in the head in a fit of rage, as Alex tried to put up a video of her online revealing Cecilia's true self, and how she once tried to kill her before. This follows a chain of sinister murders where Cecilia would stop at nothing to win Emma's companionship. What are the depths you would go to win back that one dear friend you once lost? I'm guessing not as far as Cecilia. There are claims the film gives the impression of a modern-day Euphoria arrested in the backdrop of Hitchcock's screenplay. Aisha D plays the role of Cecilia, a social media and mental health influencer with deep-seated trauma. The tidbits of flashbacks throughout the movie evoke the audience to delve into Cecilia's psyche. She has garnered validation from her followers, which kept her composed, but her suppressed trauma eventually fractured right after she gets introduced to Alex once again. The comical jabs at the internet influencer culture keep the movie lighthearted to some extent. The climax may seem poetic justice to some, but it sure sheds some irony on Cecilia's job as a mental health influencer. A worthy addition to your watch list if you're looking for a modern-day gore thriller. Dark Glasses. Dark Glasses, a Shudder original, is about a killer who preys on women who are prostitutes by profession. In the opening scene, we see a sex worker named Diana, who is a confident and bold woman. In the meantime, a killer is on the loose, who only abducts and preys on sex workers. Diana also gets attacked by the killer, but manages to escape in a vehicle. Unfortunately, her escape causes a car crash that results in the death of a couple, while leaving her visually impaired. Visionless Diana struggles with her new reality, but she finds a protective guide dog by her side and the companionship of a friendly counselor named Rita. Though she moves on with her life, the guilt of the crash bothers her every day. In the crash, the couple who lost their lives had a son named Chi, who gets abandoned at an orphanage. Diana manages to kidnap Chi to live with her, representing her way of light in life. With the killer still on Diana's back, Chi and Diana try their best to avoid the gory death trap. Throughout the film, the number of murders keeps on increasing. Will Diana survive the killer's grip despite her being blind? Directed by the Italian film director Dario Argento, Dark Glasses movie title refers to the killer's white van's tinted windows that are often seen to be following the victims throughout the movie. Soul-stirring abductions play with the viewer's emotions. Diana's blindness and attempt to settle into the new habit of life also strike the audience's restlessness. Elenia Pastorielli's performance as Diana has been portrayed beautifully as emotive and passionate. The attempt to survive in a newly adjusted lifestyle is what causes nervousness and tension in the viewer's hearts. The killer is mostly seen scene to be hidden in the dark, tinted background in between attacks and terror-filled screams add to the fright factor. The chilling screams, ominous music, eerie details, and heart-wrenching murders are simply a treat for thriller and chiller lovers. Deadstream, a Shudder original. The film Deadstream explores Sean, a thrill-seeker YouTuber, and his utter fiasco with the supernatural. The horror comedy starts with Sean trying to redeem himself and regain his internet popularity after a series controversial episode. At a loss with all his sponsors, Sean decides to livestream himself in his endeavor to spend a night in a haunted house where people have died supernatural deaths. After setting up the cameras for his livestream and trying to provoke the dead through a seance, Sean mistakenly encounters Chrissy, a super fan who had followed him all the way to the haunted manor to meet him. As they both start investigating the manor, the two of them get into an argument, and as the events transpire, Sean finds a picture that unfolds the secret that Chrissy is actually Mildred Pratt, the very woman haunting the manor, a wealthy heiress but a failed poet who killed herself after the death of her lover. Now that is one spooky twist for our YouTuber friends. With a runtime of only 87 minutes, this footage approached horror comedy is bound to make you chuckle a couple of times, with a few great jump scares. Brought to you by the married duo Joseph and Vanessa Winter, co-writers and co-directors for the movie, Deadstream is bound to take you for a thrill ride with clever antics and internet culture humor. The absurd live commentary section adds to the hilarity of the movie. The unpredictable nature of the film knows how to flick the switch between horror and comedy. Joseph Winter justifies the role of Sean Ruddy, portrayed as a toxic YouTuber, and his story of redemption against sinister spirits. It's definitely worth a watch from our side. And that, guys, well, that was our top 15 much-watched spooky finds that you should not miss out on. So comment on the ones that you plan to watch right away. And if you liked our content, well, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, guys.